Hello. Today we're going to present you our website, Climate100. This is our final project for the course Interactive Data Science, and my name is Niharika.
I'm Olivia.
So before we begin to explore the visualizations, we want to briefly cover why we chose climate change as our topic. Climate change, including its most evident impact, global warming, is frequently the subject of new headlines as well as academic publication. In fact, combating climate change is listed by the United Nations as number 13 in Sustainable Development Goals. However, among the public, especially younger generations, it is difficult to see and feel the impact of global warming besides occasional realizations of, oh, this is a warm winter. So, in this project, we start from exploring the change in temperature in Pittsburgh from 1913 to 2013 and zoom out to the world with Pittsburgh as the starting point. This allows our audience to contextualize the issue into a space relatable to them and potentially become more willing to learn the impact of climate change on a global scale. The first step in creating a visualization is to get the data that we need to create a visualization. Our team got our data from Kaggle. The first dataset contains the global temperatures of all the cities, major cities, states, and countries in the world. It shows the average temperature of all those regions for every month in a particular year. The second dataset is the International Greenhouse Gas Emissions dataset. In this dataset, we see what is the amount of greenhouse gases that each country emitted for a given year. It also shows the type of greenhouse gas that was emitted. So with the first dataset, we began by ensuring its data quality by looking at its correctness, completeness, coherence, and accountability. Both the datasets are accountable and come from reliable sources. However, the dataset contained some empty values and we had to remove them by discarding it. The first dataset also contained 242 unique values for the countries. However, there are only 195 countries that are officially recognized. So, we removed the extraneous countries from our first dataset and cleaned it. Another step that we took with our first dataset is to filter out the year of the records. Because we are targeting the climate change in the past 100 years, we did not need data from the 1700 years. So, after filtering out that data, our first dataset was finally ready to be used. With the second dataset, we faced a challenge of how to merge it with the first dataset. The main challenge that we faced was that the greenhouse gases for every country had different types. So for every country, for a particular year, it had multiple values for the amount of greenhouse gases corresponding to each type of the greenhouse gas. So when we were merging the two different data sets, we were getting duplicate values. We tackled this problem by summating all the values for every type of greenhouse gas for each country for each year. This way, after merging, we received only one value for every country for every year. Now, we could use both our datasets to create our visualizations.
From the exploratory data analysis, we discovered two important insights. One is that although the global temperature is increasing, it increased in a relatively gradual manner. However, in the 1990s, the temperature for the US had a substantial spike. As far as the greenhouse gas emission, it was surprising to see that the total global emission is actually decreasing since 1990. However, this is not true for countries such as the United States. We were also able to observe a trend where the temperature is fluctuating in a similar pattern as the greenhouse gas emission. After performing some analysis on the data, we started to map out the narrative for the climate change website. On the homepage, we have information related to the change in temperature from Pittsburgh to Pennsylvania to states in the United States and then to the world. In order to make the information relatable, we decided to start with Pittsburgh and then expand outwards. On the second page, we show the exploration on the relation between temperature and greenhouse gas emission, which we got from the combined dataset. And then in this final About page here, we explain our process clearly and also give access to the original datasets. We used Tableau to create visualizations for the data. We chose Tableau because its visual aesthetics works well with the design of the website, and it also produces code that can be easily embedded into the website. In order to create interactive visualization, one function that we used particularly is the filter function. So we mainly have two types of filter. One is filter by single value, where you scroll through a slider bar. And then the other one is also filter by single value, where you have to choose from a list. For the slider bar, it's mainly used to filter dates, including month and year. And then for the drop-down selection, it's mainly used to select location. This graph depicts the yearly temperature change in Pittsburgh. It is a line chart where you can see the temperature fluctuating from 1913 to 2013. If you hover onto the graph, you can see the year as well as the average temperature for that year. If Pittsburgh is not where you're from, you can actually use this filter bar here and then select another city in the United States. The next graph depicts the monthly temperature change in US cities from 1913 to 2013. We would first like to display the graph for Pittsburgh here. As you can see, the temperature changes from January to February, as the season changes too. In order to observe how the temperature compares from year to year, you can actually use the filter bar right here and then filter through the years to see the change in the curve. The y-axis, which is the average temperature axis on this graph, is fixed so that the comparison can be made between each years. On this graph, you can also select another city besides Pittsburgh to view the temperature change in that particular city. And now we would like to go out of Pittsburgh and explore Pennsylvania. So this is a bar chart that shows the comparison between temperature change in cities in Pennsylvania. On this graph, there are two filter options. The first one is month, and then the second is year. We included the filter option for month because by fixing 1 month and then see the temperature change for that month throughout the years, the comparison can be observed in a better way. Or if you would like to see the temperature change for the entire year, you can simply filter through the 12 month. There are 7 cities on this graph. All of them are from the temperature by city dataset. Because these 7 cities are the only cities in Pennsylvania on that dataset, we only included those. And because we had to manually recognize cities in Pennsylvania from that dataset, we did not allow a filter option by state for this graph. Moving on to the next graph, we would like to expand even further. So now we're going from Pennsylvania to the entire United States, which also includes Alaska and Hawaii. On this graph, there are also 2 filter options. Again, one is by month and the other one is by year. This allows you to see the comparison between the temperature clearly between each year as well as each month. For this graph, we decided to use a heated map for the entire United States, which also includes Alaska and Hawaii. The temperature of the state in the given month and year can be learned by looking at the color. The more orange it looks, the hotter it is. And then oppositely, the bluer it is, the colder it is. On this graph, by scrolling through time using the two slide bars, it is very evident that temperature has been gradually becoming hotter in the United States. The last visualization on this page, as you can probably expect, is the visualization of temperature change for the entire world. Again, we have two filters, month and year, and you can hover onto the country and see the specific data for that country in that month and year. Another aspect of climate change that we wanted to explore is the relation between climate change in temperature and greenhouse gas emission. So on this next page here, we display a visualization where temperature and greenhouse gas emission are plotted in one graph. By looking at the trend throughout the years from 1990 to 2013, you can see that for United States, there is actually similarity in the pattern of the two lines. On this graph, you can also filter through the countries and select other countries to learn the relationship between temperature and greenhouse gas emission for that particular country. One thing to note is that because we use Tableau as the tool for generating visualization and embedding it onto the website, Tableau's system actually requires users to sign in order to view the graphs. So if you do not have an account for Tableau online, we would ask you to create an account in order to view the visualizations. If there is any problem, please contact me. I will try to fix it. With our website, we hope that users can have a better understanding on climate change and global warming. We understand that it is difficult to ask everyone to accept these issues as a reality immediately. However, we hope that we can raise awareness as well as allow people to see these two issues in a more contextualized way with our narrative. Thank you.